Let me know when you're good. We're good? Okay, I'm going to call to order this joint meeting of the Brookline School Board and the Brookline Finance Committee here Wednesday, December 17th at the Richard Mahakian Memorial School. Daniel, do you need to officially open your meeting too?
Yeah, so this will be, we have quorum for Finance Committee, so we'll start the meeting for the Finance Committee.
Thank you and welcome. Before we get going completely, I would like to just go around the table and do introductions. Because we have the Finance Committee joining us tonight, so we'll just start at the end and go all the way around. So, Lynn, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Lynn Powers, Brookline School Board.
Heather Reardon, Brookline School Board.
Tracy Perry, same.
Johanna Shriver-Halligan, School Board.
Allison Mannion, School Board Chair.
Lauren DeGennaro, Assistant Superintendent of Student Services.
Doug Flaherty, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction.
Dan Molinari, Principal at Richard Mahakian Memorial School.
Chaz Miller, Principal CSDA.
Dorothy O'Gara.
I'm Daniel Koenig, Chair of the Finance Committee and beneficiary of the Brookline School District.
Excellent. Thank you and welcome again. We appreciate having you guys here tonight. We do not have any agenda adjustments that I'm aware of.
Sorry, Dorothy, are you on the Finance Committee? Sorry, okay, all right. Sorry, I just wasn't sure if you were here.
And
Sorry.
since there is an interruption here, Kate Elkins is a third member.
Yeah.
If she's here, you'll see her here. If not, no.
Yep, perfect. Great. We have no agenda adjustments. We have no nominations, resignations, or correspondence for this evening. So with that, I'm going to move to the approval of minutes for the Brookline School Board from November 19th, 2025. The following amendments were offered. Page 6, line 21, insert B following 2. Page 7, lines 45 to 46, delete "we were able to." Page 10, line 21, replace the period with a comma following "afternoon." May I get a motion to accept as amended?
I make a motion to accept minutes.
I'll second.
Great. All in favor? Thank you. All right. And with that, we will turn to our principal's report.
Okay, good evening. For our principal's report, our total enrollment right now for Brookline is 556 students. As you can imagine, it's a lot of fun times in the elementary school. Everybody's excited about the winter holiday season, and all of our staff are doing a wonderful job still implementing their curriculum, and everybody's excited for the winter vacation week coming up soon. I want to thank the PTO. On December 6th, the PTO put on a kids holiday bazaar at RMS that was really well attended, and that was holiday shopping for students to come in and pick out gifts for family members, friends, and then I appreciate the PTO looking out for some families that do not have the funds available to also provide, support for them so that their children can come. So it was a really wonderful event, well attended. So thank you to the PTO. We had early release day last week, and both buildings had professional development that staff attended, and that was wonderful. Report cards went out last Friday in case families were unaware about that. And when we come back from vacation week, we'll be just doing another reset of our school expectations, behaviors, and we'll be excited to see the kids after vacation week. And then on the pictures below, we have just some highlights. So every Brookline Bulletin newsletter, that's our image on the newsletter. And when you click on it, it shows the curriculum that's being done for that week. So as you can see, for kindergarten, recently they were sorting solid shapes during math time. Preschoolers were doing their little turkey pictures, performing some fine motor skills work there, and creativity and artwork. Our first graders were reading with their third grade buddies. Second graders were creating their own city-states during their CKLA unit of study on ancient Greece. And third graders, there's a picture of them practicing some new strategies for subtraction. And then with our newsletter, we're highlighting a different staff member every week. So you'll see, like this past week, we did Mrs. Starkey. She's our school librarian. And then we're doing some support staff members. So we're just trying to, on our Instagram posts, recognize different staff that are in our building that do great work. So
Guys, I'll also say I appreciate that the students do the interviews because that's really like it's such good practice and like they're like developing and then the teachers are like so patient. So that's actually something I enjoy watching on Instagram,
Nice.
like hearing the students. Do.
thanks.
It's really cool.
It's a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
it gives them a chance to feel empowered, and what the way I've arranged it is I try to have every teacher that's been interviewed or every staff member, they've had a connection with those students that have done the interview. So, two of the students that did their kindergarten teacher, that was their kindergarten teacher. So it just gives them a chance to see their former teacher or former staff member. But to your point, it gives them a chance to practice those life skills of interviewing and, showing their interest about the staff. So
They do a really good job. So no one has been quite as excited as Rebecca Hall was. Man, she was so excited to do her.
she was excited.
She was
Yes,
so excited.
she keeps us all laughing and smiling here. Oh, you have your own hand. I just like to share,
They
Chaz.
gave me my own microphone tonight.
He's moving up in the world.
Thanks. I know, right? I got my own microphone. Yes. Thanks, Rich. Yeah, so mirroring a lot of what Dan was saying, this time of year, the staff and students have done a great job focusing on expectation setting, and kids are doing a great job rising to the expectations that we've begun to create this year. And this year will be very foundational at CSDA, developing expectations and staff beliefs and around instruction and behavior and all that kind of good stuff. So that's going really well. Again, I think both are rising to the occasion. I want to say huge thanks to the PTO. The turkey trots went really well. It seems like it was a million years ago, but it wasn't that far ago. It was great. We had fun. We had the picture on there of the inflatables race that we had, which was great. It's a second annual, I believe. So it was very fun. The kids really enjoyed it, and the kids loved running. Apparently, though, they ran for like 45 minutes the year before. I didn't know that, and I'd cut it at 20. And I was like, there's no way they're going to run for 40. And they were all like, we want to run for 45. So next year, I've noted it will be a little bit longer. So than that, I caught some. I know,
You gotta
right?
make up for cutting them off
Yeah,
this year.
seriously. I'm
Well,
like,
it's a
there's
physical
no
activity.
way. Yeah, sixth graders are not going to want to do that. And sure enough, they came at me in droves. So, lesson learned by this new principal. And made up for it by snow plowing using snow blowing the field where they play kickball and football. So I talked with them about outdoor recess, and they've done a good job really understanding what it means to play in the snow safely and things like that. But the one thing I've really enjoyed about them this year is, and I don't know for those who are old like me, kickball is huge. With them, they love kickball, and so I clear out the space for them to have kind of summer or winter rules kickball, and they're having a great time with it. So it's good to see them in those social interactions. Academically, things are going amazing at our school as well. The teachers are very sharp, very intelligent. Sixth grade is new to me because I've only been in K-5. So it's been really fun to see what they do in science and the different things they do that are kind of a little bit higher level than what I've been used to. So it's been really fun. But things are going great at CSDA. We're looking forward to, like Dan's saying, when we get back, we'll reset and review expectations and keep everybody motoring on for the next several months of the year.
Can I just ask a question for both of you? How have things been on the buses? Like, I know we haven't had per se reports, which is not a bad thing, but I would like to kind of check in and see maybe where we're at this point of the year.
They're going well. This year again is about setting expectations, and it's not just my expectations as principal, but kind of what do we have as staff expectations in place, and what do kids expect for a ride, to school, and what does it mean to ride safely and calmly and things like that at school. So I've been very proactive on the buses. Kids will see me ride the buses. I was on a bus today. I was just proactively changing seats. They were still sitting with their friends, but if I kind of see some things brewing, I'm like, I'll kind of just get on and just kind of mess with seats within the CSDA portion of it. But I think that's something, and I know Dan does the same thing. It's really about being proactive and not waiting until a big problem happens, but getting when we see those little problems that start to pop up that we know could go to here. It's a matter of just getting on those and listening intently, and that usually keeps things down to a pretty good.
Great.
Sorry, Dan. Go ahead, man.
Oh, no. To Chaz's point, I think we'll do another reset after the vacation week, too. I mean, the buses are Right now it's an exciting time for.
I know today was Crazy Hat Day, like it's Spirit Week, so that's even more
Yeah,
exciting.
December's a tough, like, marker to share things are, but, for the most part, our bus drivers do a great job. And, I know, right now it's a tough time too, because there's a lot of inconsistency. We have some drivers out, so when they don't have that consistent driver too, that changes some of the behavior reports. You know, there's a different rapport there, but I think once there's been some illness and stuff like that too, so I think that affects some of the behaviors, but overall, the kids are doing a much better job than previous years, I would say, on the bus, so.
Right. You said report cards came out. You guys, have you done any kind of check-in or assessment as to where the kids are currently at, the progress we've made? We're on track for where we want them to be generally for this time of year? What is that kind of looking like academically?
Yeah, so we get to review all the report cards, and I mean, the students are doing great. I mean, based off of the way the teachers reported off the standards that they have, there were some really impressive, grades, and proud of the way the students are performing, and we appreciate all the efforts that the teachers did, because it takes a lot of time to do all the comments and going through all the data and reporting on it, but overall it was really successful. And if it wasn't, those conversations were had with the parent and the teacher so that they were expecting that grade. But at our level, it's a little different than CSDA, because we do 3 2s and 1s, whereas it's letter grade, right?
Yep.
So.
Yeah, letter grade. It's, so I don't have a great frame of reference because I've only been here for a few months, but looking back on last year's and this year's, everything seems pretty consistent. Again, I think, this year's focus of really setting a lot of foundation with how we do school and how we learn, and then springboarding off of that at the same time, though, working on academics. It's kind of what that kind of 2 lanes we're in right now, but it seems to be, I'm in classrooms every day, and, watching kids engaged, watching kids, talk to each other during lessons and interact with the teacher. That stuff seems to be making a difference.
Great.
And reflecting. So we'll know more when benchmarking comes out and all that good stuff.
For sure.
So,
I think when we look at SAS and like how we do in the SAS is not going to be really reported on a report card. It's
Well, but it's
gonna
all,
be
but
different.
it's also different, right? Because you've got the practical application, what kids are doing in the classroom, and those kids who don't test well, it's not always, it's not an
Right.
apples to apples, and
Right.
which is why I just wanted to ask about kind of this point in the year, because we're at the kids are ready to just, like everybody, just breathe for the holidays,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But it's always good that academics are going well, and it's good to hear that, and it's
Yeah.
good to know that we're looking at that right.
Yeah, I mean, the section I really look at is the work habits or the habits of a learner section, because that really tells you, are the students engaged? Are they getting the 3 where they're on level and showing that they are following directions? I look at those parts, because then that's going to help them get a good grade in the other areas, so.
Excellent.
so I just, one question quickly about so CSDA does letter grades, and I know you guys, we do. So have you guys noticed the students impacted that? I know sometimes there's a lot of discussion now about non-grading and what it means to kind of remove letter grades. Do you notice a difference, Chaz, maybe in the students where it's now I'm getting an A, B, or C, and if that's having an impact on students?
Again, I hate to say this, and this is going to be the only year I get to say this, but I'm still a little bit new with that here. What I can say is that I haven't seen any adverse effects from it.
Okay.
Like this week, there hasn't been any emotional dysregulation. I haven't heard from parents about that or anything like that. So it's been, I think it's been something where the teachers have addressed it in their classrooms a little bit as well. They're probably thinking the same things of those adjustments, and the teachers at CSDA are really good at kind of identifying that. I believe I overheard a teacher as I was walking in the hallway kind of talking about goal setting in some form. It was last week. I remember it struck me, and I didn't have time to stop in because I was on my way to a meeting, but the teacher was talking about some sort of goal setting with what they're doing and how it translates to this and that or a grade. And I thought that was really smart. And I just remember going through that. That's what the kids need to prepare for that. And if the kids know, if I work this hard, I get this. If here's my rubric, I get this. And they'll feel just much more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'd like to kind of keep it, and Dorothy, maybe you have a thought on that too.
We're actually going to start in January with the curriculum directors in each building. We've looked at report cards, and there needs to be some adjustment now, especially that we need to move to a more competency-based approach with the changes to 306. We're going to put a committee together after the holidays, and we're going to be looking at report cards.
Yeah, I would love to know if that does start to become an issue, especially like if we're, because I just know some kiddos can certainly really on take that, and it's not that like you're getting a C because you don't understand, but more just like, so I would be curious to see like data or to keep maybe an eye on that, just to kind of see if that's something that we need to address overall as a district to make it more like, it's exactly like you guys are saying, it's more about how we're learning, it's more about how we're approaching learning versus less about like you can take a test or not take a test.
There needs to be a lot of collaboration because
Yeah.
depending on who you get, a B can be a very different thing depending
Yes,
on who
it
you
can.
have.
That is very true. Yeah, okay, no, I'm glad to hear that, Dot, so I'd love to kind of hear once you guys get some more data, if you could bring that back, that would be great.
Awesome. Anything else for principals? As always, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, great report out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to know what hat Dan wore today. What did you wear today, Dan, for your hat?
My Blue Jay winter hat.
He's outside a lot. As
That's not a lot.
I saw Christmas
Yeah.
trees and a reindeer, so I'm just saying.
As always, thank you both for everything you do. Thank you to all of our teachers and our staff that keep our schools excelling and moving forward. We appreciate each and every one of you. All right, at this point, I am going to open the floor for public input at 6:16. There is nobody here, but if somebody does come within the next 30 minutes, we'll give them an opportunity to take the floor. We'll find a pause. We'll find a place to pause for them. So with that, we're going to move on to our discussion items for tonight. So the first is the FY27 budget. You got this one, Lauren?
Yes.
All right.
So I'll be presenting the superintendent's proposed changes for round 3. So in your packet, you'll see the chart of the 3 columns, and we're looking at round 3 right now. The pieces that were removed in RMMS and CSDA under academics, those are actually going to be covered under Title II grant funds. We have the allocations for those, and they carry into FY27. So those are going to be paid for out of that. If you look down into personnel, again, we're being, we're definitely being, careful with the budget this year, as with every year, as we look at our needs. And this year, we have the 2 contracts, which we'll be talking about a little later on, as well as the tax cap. So the personnel that has been removed is the classroom teacher, the lunch recess assistants, which were cut in round 2, and then the music education teacher and art education teacher moving to full-time. And that impacts RMMS and CSDA as far as those removals. This is not the year to do that. That is not really feasible in what we're looking at with the budget at this time. If you go down to new computer equipment, there are no changes there because there was nothing new that we were looking at. On page 7, we are looking at the replacement cycle. The devices that were left in are at the access points at CSDA, are at end of life. Those are our Wi-Fi access points. Those need to stay in. And then the devices in both RMMS and CSDA, there's a 4-year replacement cycle, and we're phasing in the interactive flat panels that you see there.
And do you know what year of that cycle we're in? Like-
For the 4-year replacement cycle.
Or
I'm-
like the phasing in, what, do you know, like, have we phased, are we starting that this year?
Yeah,
or is
so
that-
we're doing 4 out of 8 that are needed, so we should be able to do the other 4 next year, but
Next year.
that'll be next year's conversation, and we'll
okay.
decide what we're able to.
So
put.
we're just starting it now, is what?
I believe so for that. Well, no, this is what's left.
Oh,
To
okay,
fully
okay,
outfit
okay.
the building.
Got it,
The
okay.
8 is what's left, and the 6 is
Can I
what's
pause
left.
this for a quick second?
Yes.
Do you guys have a copy of what we're looking at? Thank you.
Oh,
I-
it's on the, yes, and it is in the agenda packet, but we can print copies too.
Sorry
I'm
about
trying to
that.
get loaded here, it's just my computer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, we can pause for a
But, yeah,
second so you
print-
can
print
get
them,
the,
okay, sorry.
if you don't mind.
No, I don't know.
Let's just, we're gonna just
I'm
take
on
a couple
page
minutes.
7
I
of
printed
this.
it out.
Page 7, okay.
No, I know, I've got all of them open, I just wanna make sure I'm on the right, is this the right one?
It's the one that has the 3 rounds right on the
Oh,
page.
yeah. This one's at 7 pages, and I was like, I got 3.
It's got double-sided. No.
Oh, I think there's page numbers on the bottom.
Oh, yes, the page numbers are on the bottom.
Well, we get every,
I
well,
don't
we
see
get
the
everyone
page
on the
numbers.
same page. Can I just ask a random question about the old equipment, like the Chromebooks and the laptops? Are they at such end of life where we just kind of donate them to stuff, like, where do
I can
they
find
go?
out the answer to that question. I
Okay.
do not know the
No.
answer to that question, but I will find that
Oh,
out.
okay.
We
We
recycle
recycle
them.
them.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
awesome.
Some of them they sell
Oh,
to companies.
okay, that's great, thank you. I know we have like 5 computers in our basement, so I know that they can like I know that those can pile up as you have to upgrade. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna pause this conversation for a second until we get printouts so that you guys can follow. I apologize about that.
There's a print view, Dan, if you just press the print version.
I can do that
Okay.
part, yeah, the print. Agenda packet, so I'll do it, I'll just do the whole packet. That should be everything.
Did you find out about the rock?
Oh, yeah, it's in the winter. So
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I'll just do two of those.
need to do more towards like the end of the
Dan, do you know it?
When I emailed them, they were like, man, that's our proposal. I was like, okay.
Just want a timeline.
So now it says,
It was like, there's no idea.
Right?
If
Don't
you,
need to, because I would like to
if you
plan
do
something when it gets
agenda
installed.
packet,
I can go back.
that's the whole thing.
okay, thank you.
Now it
I
makes
had,
sense.
I had
What?
pieces, but it was
Yeah,
easier. Oh, it was 17 pages?
I think it is 69. That's amazing.
And then we work it down from there because we as a board like to see the full picture and get the full view of what is necessary and what we would like.
We should go back on.
Yeah. Oh,
Right,
okay.
all right. Okay, we're back.
Thank you.
So on page 7, I just went through the technology for the 4-year replacement cycle for the Chromebooks and laptops, and then the access points at CSDA being end of life. We have a phase and approach for the interactive flat panels to fully outfit the 2 buildings. For the safety and energy issues, there are no changes from round 2. The emergency lighting replacements that have been left on, those are the exit lights as you go through the vestibules and such, and so that is a safety piece that we need to address. When we look at the maintenance, you'll see some changes. I'm sorry, you won't see many changes for for RMMS. We kept in the roof at Milford Street. This was postponed from last year, and we feel as though this needs to be addressed for this upcoming budget. In CSDA, the univents and the doors and the roof work, we're looking at things that have been postponed for 3 to 4 years at this point, so we need to address them. For the univents, they can break and cause flood issues and different damage pieces, so we feel that it's important to address those as well. And then on page 8, it just goes into the description of the warrant articles, which we're going to talk a little bit further about the 2 contract to the 2 CBAs later on. So our total budget, and if you go line by line on the other handout in your packet, we're looking at the total budget for round 3 is $13,489,064.74. And you're going to hear about the Brookline Teachers Association. For year 1 is $501,347. For the support staff, $113,308. And the SAU budget, $502,336. So for a total of $14,606,055.74. If you look through the line by line, you're gonna see some kind of pluses and minuses there as you go through. I just kind of want to explain also that we are cleaning up the account lines and what is represented in each account line, where, we have our new business administrator and our superintendent, and we're going through to kind of review everything and make sure everything is listed as clearly as possible. So we're kind of doing a little bit of an overhaul, so you'll see some more probably minuses and pluses than typically as we move things around.
Are you talking about on the right-hand side?
On the line by line, yeah. So we're
Okay.
kind of, we've been reviewing all of our account lines and what we put under each account line, as we look at our actuals and where we're allocating everything. Are there any questions about the round 3 items, and does if the board has any discussion?
So I mean, I dug through the numbers, but I just want to confirm because the floor machines we were told are also end of life, right? Those
The
did
floor,
those stay?
the floor machine's here,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought
The
I
floor
did, but
machine's
like
staying.
sometimes I'm like, wait,
Yes.
what? But I thought it was
Yeah,
okay.
no,
I just wanted to
the
make
floor machine is
okay,
there, yep.
Perfect.
And I did want to highlight, I didn't highlight on page 6, under the personnel, the database manager that's there is split across all 3 districts, just so you know, that's going to be a bigger
Yeah.
piece.
So
Yep.
just to clarify too, because I remember that was a question. When it first is each school paying? So like when it's each
portion.
school. Right, but like, is Brookline as a total paying, or is RMMS paying that, and like, is it coming out of? I guess that's what I just wanted
No,
to
it's
know.
district.
The 25,000 is for the
okay.
district.
Okay, so it's not
It isn't per
25
building, correct.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, I think there was a question about
Yes,
that
no.
in some correspondence we got, so I just wanted to clarify
Yeah.
that.
No, absolutely. And we have, obviously, the opportunity to have more rounds as well, just of discussion, just so you know. So, but this is where we are for round 3.
Well, I know you guys were working on looking at other grants too. Do we have anything else in the pipeline that we're working on grant-wise?
Well, we always get our IDEA grants for special education, but as far as the grants for that DOT deals with the most, I believe it's Title II, correct? Because we don't have Title IV anymore.
Correct.
Yeah, so Title II is it. But Title II, it is good that we know how much we have.
Okay, so then that's where we're at with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about the grants that we got to cover the so you said we had applied, in round 1, we applied for grants for those, where,
The Title II grant,
Oh,
which
that is-
is
okay.
for professional development and professional strategies for our educators and staff. And when we apply for those this year, we had to apply in 2 rounds.
Okay.
A very tiny round in July because the federal government wasn't releasing the title funds, but then they did. And so we're in the process of reapplying for the full grant right now.
oh, okay.
They're entitlement grants, which means that you the money is there, you know how much money you can get.
You just have to
You just have to
apply.
write the grant that they'll approve.
Okay.
And once you do get it, it's good for 27 months. So we know that
Okay.
as we're writing this year's grant, it will cover the positions that we're looking at for next
For
year.
next year, okay. Okay, and so Title IV, just remind me what, I know we're not getting it anymore, but like what was it?
It was that's like safe schools.
Okay, so that, so
and-
if we're looking to upgrade that, we would potentially be looking at are there other grants available that aren't federal?
We can't do the Title IV grant anymore because we don't get Title I money, so.
Oh, okay. Now, are there non-federal or non-state grants though that you can apply for, or in terms of safety?
Potentially, I mean, we're always keeping an
We're
eye out
always
for what's
looking for it,
available,
yeah.
Okay,
so.
Dan
safety grants?
wrote a
Yeah.
safety grant.
We just did ones for the entire district.
Okay.
I think there was $100,000 allotted towards for each school. So we put that early November. We haven't heard back yet.
okay, so potentially some of those things that were taken off, would you reinstate them if you got a grant?
There were certain limitations to like that grant. So like for instance, there were 3 categories. There was surveillance, access control, and maybe alerting.
Okay.
So like you can only get fencing, or fencing could be one, or if you needed new locks, or if you needed a new camera system, there were certain things you could.
Okay.
But looking at the safety, the night locks, yes, those could come off if we got the grant.
Okay.
And then,
Were-
but none of the lighting. It was
None of
just
the
for
lighting,
night
okay.
locks.
Were there fencing issues though, at least here at RMMS?
For RMS, but we put in the grant to improve the fencing around the playground, so we want to do
Yeah,
like the black chain link fence we have along Milford Street. We want to extend that goes along Springvale and then along the wood line,
oh, yeah, okay.
and then maybe some fencing over here by the entrance to like the lower level
Okay,
where the baseball field is.
okay,
And we do keep a look at
Yeah.
other grants. We just received an $18,000 grant to extend Discovery Ed
Okay, great.
for one more year in the schools.
okay, yeah, no, I don't envy you that, I just I like to know like what grants we have.
Right, and that's why I
Oh, the
asked,
safe grant,
because
that's the one we apply for. Safe.
I know you guys are always actively looking, so it's just kind of good to hear kind of where we're at with things, because I think all 5 of us truly appreciate the diligence with trying to find as many grants as possible that we qualify for.
Yeah,
So
we tried
thank
to
you for that.
apply right away. I think we were one of the first districts when we did apply, so hopefully.
Yeah, no, and I think it's helpful in the budget conversation for us all to just remember too that like we're not just relying on we're one source of funding. We're trying to really expand out as much as we can, which is good too.
So looking at the new items, are there any other questions about this round 3 of what we have in or what was taken out from anybody?
No, I want to say from round 1 to round 3, it was an incredible reduction. By my calculations, it was a 99% reduction from about 27 million to about 347,000. And some of those things that we cut, they're real needs. And we can't let them go, right? But we understand that within the current constraints of the budget cap and other things, it is a very, very maintenance budget, and it's not an expense budget. So I think it's just really important for all of us in the community to know, what we're working towards. And that these things won't go away, but we will have to forego them this year.
What other questions do we have? Do we have anything from the finance committee? Do you have any questions? Anything? I don't know if you had a chance to look at this in advance or not.
Nothing for me.
Okay.
And you can always reach out to us as well if you have anything
Yeah,
after.
what page are you up to right now?
So I just finished the 3-column pages.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then what I did,
Eight, I
I
think,
don't go through the line by line, we don't do that at this meeting. But I did note on the last page what the totals are right now for the budget and the warrant articles.
Oh, because I have some questions about the line.
Yep, you could ask them and I'll definitely answer anything that I can, and if anything we can't answer tonight, I'll bring to the business administrator or to the superintendent.
And just to clarify, the business administrator will be here in January, correct?
Yes.
Yes, so.
All right, on page 11, you're adding an extra teacher to the resource room?
Page 11. Can you tell me the line?
10, 1200, 11802.
Yep, so what we've had, and this is what I was saying about our moving pieces, so we've had an account line that has some research from teachers, special education teachers, let's say it was in line A for FY26, we're moving them to all be in one line, so you may see some movement. We're not adding any teachers in that regard. So it's just a movement of where we're putting different items under what titles.
And program, pre-K program, and LEA coordination, that's up 62%.
Yep, so again, it's a plus and minus of a moving over for where the account is. So we, last year, for this year FY '26, we have a preschool coordinator that was approved to be in the budget, and it's just where that person is falling under the line. Yep.
Yeah, because that was pretty substantial.
Yes, no, that's money movement under lines. So, and if you have any, as you do read this more, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us too, definitely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of work
We're doing a lot of cleanup.
reorganizing the
Yes.
lines because, so it might look like it's an addition, but it's a subtraction from somewhere else.
Somewhere else in the
spreadsheet.
budget.
So
Yeah.
it's really just it's a exercise in cleaning up to make
Yes.
it easier to read, make sure everything's categorized properly, so that we have a better kind of full picture when you look at a singular page.
And what is vision hearing? That's on page 14.
Yes, so let me make sure I'm on the right. These things are so small as well,
I
which does
know.
not help, and I have progressives, and they don't even work. So I apologize. So yes, so the lines that you're looking at there are services for special education needs. So there are some students who require different services in these regards, whether it is vision or hearing and such. So that's where that
All right. So how
budget
many
money is.
students used that service this year?
That's
I
probably not something
I
we
can't
can-
go into too many specifics on the number of students that receive each service, just for, confidentiality and different pieces,
right.
but it varies based on student need.
Student need, okay.
Yes.
And Lauren, to be clear, that's mandated.
Absolutely. All special education services, as determined by the IEP teams, are mandated services. So when we look at what a student needs, we will hire for that need. So it may not be that they need it every single day, but they may need it over the course of their year and their program.
And also, those budget lines are not always necessarily adjustable, is what I'm hearing, because if it's
Correct.
a mandated service, right? So,
Correct.
that's more of a just, this is the budget. that
Correct,
We have to
yeah.
write, okay.
All right.
Thank
Anything else? Or I know it's a lot to.
Oh,
it's
a
no,
lot.
it's a
and
lot to
absolutely, just
consume.
reach out to us as well. I mean, we're
Yeah.
happy to answer any questions.
Anything else from anybody else, question-wise, budget-wise? Okay, at this point, nope, I can't close public hearing yet, can I? I
No.
was going to. Math, I need to math. All right, we're gonna move on to the Brookline Teachers Association Collective Bargaining Agreement. So, just kind of overview for it. So the goal of the 2025 negotiations was to align professional staff contracts across the SAU 41, while we were strengthening Brookline's ability to recruit and retain high-quality educators. This agreement improved our operational flexibility. We were able to expand professional development time for our teachers, clarify expectations for what we expected out of our teachers beyond the school day, and creating additional teacher leadership opportunities. I am not reading word for verbatim off of our sheet, just so you know. We wanted to return all of our staff to a transparent salary grid that promoted fairness, consistency. We also wanted to provide long-term workforce stability so that we don't see teacher turnover because of compensation. So these compensation changes that are within the contract were designed to remain competitive within within our SAU, as well as the state of New Hampshire, while supporting retention by adding salary steps, targeting specific benefits for our staff. We did have some health insurance changes. So I think, as everybody knows, health insurance costs have skyrocketed kind of across the board. We were able to find a different insurance driver plan that lowered our cost that the SAU pays, which allowed us to make the compensation changes I was speaking to above. So we were able to affect 100% of our staff to help them become and remain competitive, so we can retain our excellent teachers and also attract new ones, because we know we've had multiple conversations around the struggle we've had for that. So by being able to adjust the healthcare driver plan, we were able to then affect 100% of our teachers across the board. We did some contract language cleanup just to improve clarity, made sure that we called out titles amongst our professional staff in alignment with the State Department for New Hampshire. The cost of this contract reflects a very deliberate investment into our staff to ensure that we have the instructional quality that we expect. And then also, it allows us to be responsible in terms of financial planning in the future. There have been setbacks in previous years with some of our teachers' salaries that really set them way behind. So this was an opportunity for us to right the ship. And then that makes it so we're much more stable moving forward without having to kind of play this up and down game. So that is the overview of our contract. Year one is going to be the biggest lift, which will be this year at $501,347. Year two, that decreases to $329,127. Year three comes in at $342,899. So you can see it really levels out in years 2 and 3. So the total 3-year contract price or cost is $1,173,372. Did I miss anything? I don't think I missed anything. Questions?
I'm just gonna comment too, I think you did a great job, Allison. This was incredibly, like, thinking outside the box. I just wanted to acknowledge, our budget, year over year, we've kind of budgeted for like 8% for health insurance.
Yeah.
And this year it bumped up to 15.1. I think that's actually good if you compare it to other school districts. However, it was potentially going to eat up a lot of our increase. And the outside the box thinking in terms of the health insurance was incredible.
Yes.
And we are really focused on impacting all of our teachers and making sure we're more competitive, because we really weren't. I didn't know this, and from looking at a state perspective, Brookline was one of the lowest paid school districts pretty much in the state. And I know that there'll be more information about that, to share in the future, but that was kind of eye-opening for myself. So I just wanted to include that information, and it was really a struggle to keep the teachers in our school district, and not, just moving over to Hollis or Bedford or other areas. And so this really right sides that, and to your point, Allison, is an investment in our teachers and our community,
Yeah.
to keep people here.
Yeah. We did lengthen their work year as well. I think I failed to mention that. We did also lengthen their work year with this contract too.
And
So.
I think additional training.
Correct.
Yes.
All those will be put, boarded out, but.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna add, this looks great. I'm gonna just definitely ask like a clarifying question, but it
Sure.
seems to me that part of the reason it is so much bigger in year one is because we really are equalizing out salaries and steps, and then from there, it's more like once they're on kind of that step program, it's gonna be, so we wouldn't necessarily see a jump like this again, because this is more just a correct.
No, I don't anticipate seeing a jump like this again. This was truly a right the ship in terms of ensuring that we were competitive, and we were losing teachers within the SAU, right? Going from Brookline to Hollis. We don't want to see that happen. We value our staff, and frankly, trying to find staff. We worry every year about opening fully staffed, and it's been a struggle. And then the amount of money we've discussed this, the amount of money that it costs to contract positions is astronomical. So this helps that and supports that.
Well, I appreciate you guys thinking outside the box, because I think that's been especially a struggle this year with staffing to find teachers, and people work very hard, so I think definitely doing what we can to kind of help them feel valued and want to stay is very important. And it's huge.
Yeah.
Did you mean big jumps within these 3 years or at the end of the 3 years?
Nope, so I'm talking just about like that first year is a pretty big number, and then the other year, one of these is a tier year. The other years it looks like it looked more stable, so I just wanted to kind of clarify for myself and for others who might be watching that, like, I know that can seem scary, but it's more of like a just get us on the right path, and then it's a much more equalized number, it looks like, the following 2
And I
years.
would anticipate then after this contract, we're kind of rights the ship when we re-up and renew. We're not I would not anticipate looking at another contract where year one is a huge shift, but more the financial stability long-term, because now we've got our teachers really,
You're in maintenance mode.
correct, exactly.
We were
Like,
always playing catch up, and now we.
yes, we've been
Okay.
playing catch up with them, or trying to play catch up with them for a long time. And we haven't been able to do that. It was, I really will credit Superintendent Berkscog for finding that healthcare driver plan that allowed us the ability to do this.
Is there any obligation to come back to the table before the end of these 3 years?
Is there what? Is
Any
an
obligation for the board to any gates or anything that would
Nope.
require you to come back to the table on any of these 3
For
years?
during these 3 years? No. Nope.
I mean, I
It's a
feel like
three-year
feel like people can always request a sidebar, right? Like the unions can always request a sidebar, but in terms of our responsibility, I think that
Correct.
And Lauren, you can correct me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, unless the union were to come, the teachers union would want to raise something, then yeah, we would re-enter, but from, Heather and I were the two board members that sat on the negotiating team, and I believe we both can confidently say there's nothing in this that we would want to go back and change within these 3 years. Yeah. So, any other questions about it? I know it's a big number, we recognize that, but it was deliberate. And we're being mindful of all the other things as you saw with the cuts from the operating budget, so we're,
Well, and I
Trying to
do
do
want to
right.
clarify too that with these contracts were our priority, and so knowing that we had an 8% tax cap, this is a number that comes in under the tax cap. Well, so it allows us to meet the needs while also meeting the financial responsibilities of the district, which I think is great that you guys were able to do that. That's amazing.
I also really appreciated the fact that not all of our teachers take healthcare, so being able to, they just don't, right? Like, I mean, in our household, we have one healthcare plan, one of us is on it, and one of us pays for it, the other doesn't, right? So we recognize that, and so being able to kind of do those shifts and in with this cost, we're not affecting a small population of our teachers, it's 100% of them, which is huge. So it's definitely good. Any other questions from anybody else on the board or anybody else here? Okay.
I'm just checking time for your public.
Oh, I can close it now. All right, so I'm going to officially close public input at 6:47. All right, next up for discussion is the BESA contract, the Brookline Education Support Staff Association contract, because we were in a year of 2 negotiated contracts, not one.
So I can speak to this one. Over the course of about 10 meetings, Tracy and I met with the BESA negotiating team, so our support staff, which encompasses our secretaries, administrative assistants, because we did update our language. I need to update my language. Administrative assistants, para-educators, food service workers, our custodial staff and maintenance. Really, like, very backbone part of our school, like making sure that all of those needs are met. So we had some really good productive sessions. We did make some pretty big changes. We have a 2-year contract that we're presenting that would start July 1st, 2026 and run through 2028. So this felt like a good option for us, given that we did have 2 contracts this year. We really wanted to do best as we could by both of them. The union actually was the one who proposed that 2 years, so they were comfortable with that. But it also gives us the opportunity to align, because when they come up for renegotiation, I believe there's some other districts or other unions in the district, the co-op, that will also be negotiating, so we can really try and streamline every. And Lauren, you might.
Right. Well, and we will not have 2 contracts in the same year.
Yes,
in
again,
Brookline,
we will be able to
again
split them
after
up,
that.
which will be helpful
Yes.
for all of our sanities and keeping a business administrator. The biggest contract change is health insurance. So we made a couple of changes to health insurance for both our year-round employees and also our school year employees. So we are going to be this contract offers health insurance, introduces it to our school year employees. That's a really big step and one we think will be very beneficial for our district. That has been a big barrier to staffing, paraeducators in particular, and we are currently a very large number over in contracted fees because we have a lot of contracted paraeducators this year that are mandated by law, so we cannot avoid that. So we think that this introduction of health insurance will help us attract and maintain without having to contract out. We did introduce caps, right? So we have it, and Lauren, you might be able to explain a little more, but just what the caps are and like what.
Sure. So the method that we decided to use as our approach is to have health insurance caps that we would provide a flat cost to the health insurance. So for year 1, we would pay $804 a month towards any plan that the school staff chose single, two-person or family. And then for year 2, upping that cap to 1,158. So regardless of the amount that the health insurance increases, we're at a cap rather than percentages. The full year round, yeah, go ahead.
And does that also hold if they have one person on the plan or a dependents?
Yep, exactly. So for both years, it's for all plans. Okay. So, and then for our full-time employees, right now in their, in the contract is 100% provided health insurance, for school year, for full year-round employees. We, made a concerted effort, to start this contract, and we will continue, is to kind of look at that percentage and start to back down that percentage. So you'll see that for year 1, the 100% is staying, but for year 2, we're weaning down off of the percentages.
Yeah, our goal is to really streamline everybody there, is to make sure that we're as streamlined as we can be across our district, but also the co-op, right? And make sure that everybody has access to health insurance.
So for paraeducators, as we've been trying to hire paraeducators, this has come up as a reason why some paraeducators are not able to be employed with us, because they do need health insurance. So this is a step in that direction. That was our, one of our focuses as we looked at the negotiation process, but to do it in a responsible way where we're able to kind of look at that, controlling the cost.
I was just gonna say
Oh, I'm
something.
sorry.
No, you're fine, because I was just waiting. I think that's such a huge and important point. Can you just remind us exactly how many we were contracting?
Yes,
We're like
absolutely.
10, I think,
So right now, we are at 9 contracted paraeducators that are 3 times the cost of what our direct employee would be. So right now, we're spending upwards of $550,000 in contracted paraeducator costs. And this would be, again, a step in the right direction to be able to recruit and retain as many of our own employees as we can. Yes.
Who are you contracting with?
So there's
Are they
different.
competitive? Do we get separate bids?
Yep, so there are different agencies, and I do shop around, and my coordinators as well, and we do negotiate costs as much as possible.
And I will say, I think at our last meeting, Hollis had this issue with
Last year.
last year with paraeducators. They introduced health benefits, and they only had a contract 1 this school year versus the 16 from
Correct,
the
the year
previous
before.
year. So in our own district, we've seen where that has had a huge impact, and given the exorbitant cost that we're spending right now
Right,
on paraeducators that are contracted, because we can't be competitive to offer to get them to sit in a full-time position. This is really important.
And we've had benefits eligible positions for the co-op for a long time, and we have never had to contract a paraeducator at the co-op.
And I think, to your question, Dorothy, I think it's important to kind of keep in mind too that like we can. This might sound very cynical, but I feel it's important. Like we can look around and compare prices as best we can, but they also know that they're a needed
Oh,
commodity.
yeah,
and
it'll never be as low as.
it kind of puts us in a little bit of a. I used to work in the hospitals, and like we had to contract nurses all the time, and they knew that they could kind of like they're a needed commodity. You have to have a nurse, you have to have a paraeducator, so that kind of changes the game in their favor a little bit. So by offering health insurance and really making an effort for us to widen our pool and attract and keep our amazing paraeducators and other support staff that we have, we're actually taking a big step, I think, in the right direction towards giving us a little bit more control back to say, well, we are also offering health insurance. Like that gives us a little bit more bargaining power, I think,
Correct.
at the table.
And if you look throughout the contract too, and there's a few pages here, we won't go word for word, but you'll see the total for year 1 is 113,308, and for year 2 it's 136,894. We're also increasing paraeducator training, and some pieces throughout to offer training to them for professional development opportunities specifically. We've clarified, overtime language, our position lists, and changing the language from paraprofessional to paraeducator throughout, and from secretary to administrative assistant throughout, because really the goals of this negotiation was recruiting, retention, and making sure that, they have a robust contractual bargaining agreement.
Which, and when we look at the total for these 2 years, that's half of what we're paying this year alone, right? So for 2 years, we're hoping with this contract it will be
less
able
than
to-
half.
Less than half,
It's actually
right?
less than half.
I don't math, all right?
Yeah, but
Math's
no,
not-
I'm saying it's wonderful.
I'll straight up, I don't math.
Yeah,
so
exactly, and and it's really having that consistency for our students
is huge, yeah.
Is huge.
And that's
It's
our
big.
goal, is we wanted to expand our pool and invite, but also retain, because they work as a team, like when you're in the school.
They're incredible.
They're amazing. I mean, honestly, as a parent who interacts with special, like paraeducators and support staff every day because of the needs of what my child needs. Like, I cannot speak highly enough about our support staff. They're amazing. So we really wanted to recognize that and keep them. And we're also, we felt that it was financially in the district's best option to look into benefits because, again, we're looking at this number for 2 years. That's half of what we're paying, less than half of what we're paying in 1 year alone.
And I actually forgot I put this on page 26, but on page 26, I also listed what we paid in FY '25 for contracted paraeducators.
Yes.
So you have a two-year cost for our contracted paraeducators, and looking at the 2-year cost of our contract, you can see how those numbers,
Yeah.
compare. So we had
Yeah.
338,000 in FY '25 and 574 currently for
Yeah.
FY '26.
And then, yeah, when you look down our,
We are continuing to hire, just so you do know, and if
Yeah.
we do hire mid-year, we do release the contracted paraeducators.
so we're always there. We're always with Dan. Dan can tell you. I think they interviewed. Jen Doloff is interviewing. Meg's interviewing. Like Dan used to joke that he liked to interview people to see if they were a good fit for Hollis or for the co-op because they would come here. That was a while ago, right? But I do think that was important information for us to take into this negotiation with them and kind of recognize that we wanted to kind of step up and present a different option. I also just want to really emphasize that consistency for students piece that we have that Lauren was mentioning, that stability and consistency is actually very huge, especially for something like support staff. I'll joke that secretaries are kind of like the nurses of the school, but like they know everything, or the administrative assistants, they know what's going on in every corner. They can direct you to where you need to go. The paraeducators know their kids inside and out. They can tell just like, oh, they twitched wrong today. Something's not right. Let's figure it out, right? They can problem solve, which I think keeps the students safe at school, allows them to learn, and also helps them address issues that might come up or that a student might be struggling with before it really blows up. So kind of like we were talking about earlier with the buses, it really helps them access their learning and minimize some of those behavioral issues. Our food service staff, like all of our kids know their names. And I just think it's maintaining and building a district that has that closely knit support staff, I just think is so important. So we're really hoping that this contract will help and assist with that and kind of keep the already amazing staff that we have as well as bring and expand new people in. And then just to mention as well, just real quickly, it allows us to kind of align a little bit better with district priorities in terms of staffing, culture, student support. We're making sure that we're, keeping on top of training, so enhancing that where we need to, expanding that where we need to. And Tracy certainly can feel free to jump in as well. But we also added, I think that this, we wanted to also, we got some feedback, so like maintenance staff allowance, we added weather appropriate clothing and shoe allowance so that they can do their jobs more efficiently and make sure that, I learned a lot about floor stripper during this negotiation process. Apparently that also ruins your shoes, which was great information because I did not know that. So hearing that and kind of being able to help come to a good compromise on that was great. It gives us an opportunity to just, we're going to recommend this obviously because again, addressing our critical staffing needs remains we were very thoughtful. I would say Tracy and I were very thoughtful about balancing the needs of the district and making sure that we were aware of what our tax cap was and really doing right by both the taxpayer and the support staff. And then keeps our schools running smoothly, which I think we all appreciate on a daily basis.
Agreed.
I think it was a really great process. I was really, I think I learned a lot. It was really great to work with everyone. On the other side of the table with our BESA representatives, I think it was really great. To Johanna's point that yes, we really looked at this contract. I won't speak for the teachers, but we really looked at this contract and tried to have a win-win for everyone, knowing how important our paraeducators are and our all of the administrative staff is. But it is really difficult to have a year with 2 contracts.
Yes, we all wanted, everybody wanted off that. The union team wanted off of that. We wanted off, everyone wanted off 2 in the same year.
And so, just to speak to, our Brookline tax cap and the statewide tax cap that was enacted this year, it really forces a district like ours to make cuts or to make decisions that are really driven by money instead of students. I don't think we've ever fallen short on our students or our staff, but it was difficult. It was difficult to see how that tail was wagging this dog.
Are there any, can I bring us back, just, are there any questions from those that weren't part of the negotiation? Are there any questions about what's in it?
It's interesting, just learn, next year I'd love, or the next,
time.
next time.
2 years.
Not
years,
next year, yeah.
2 years.
But as you know, I wanted to sit in just to listen, but couldn't because of quorum and whatnot. But it's just interesting to see the process and hear the outcomes. And, I think you guys did a great job.
I will also, just let me say really quickly, Dan, to what you were saying also about the BTA, there should be no need for us to come back to the table. We did specifically speak, and the union brought this up themselves as well, that it's a 2-year contract. We'll see how things go for this year. We know that in 2 years, we're going to be renegotiating. So I feel, Lauren, and you would agree that we would not anticipate needing to come back, nor would, it did not appear that the union would feel the need to reopen prior to 2 years.
Correct. You guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Awesome. Anything else from the group?
Are we doing any warrant discussions, like the SAU assessment or the maintenance trust or the special ed trust? Are we doing
Not
today?
tonight.
Okay.
No.
But we aren't, as of right now, we're not proposing to be raising or to be moving anything from that.
Yeah, so I have a question about the unassigned fund balance,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if we can talk about that currently, or does that have to be talked about in?
We did the budget discussion, but we could.
Okay.
We can backtrack.
We could backtrack if you'd like.
Okay, no,
As long as we wrap up the.
Yeah, as long as,
Let's
Yeah,
wrap
yeah.
up
yeah.
Best, and then we can backtrack to
yeah, I
FY
mean,
27.
I think that was
I'm gonna
all,
address
yeah.
questions.
All that we wanted to share, so if no one has any questions, but again, please feel free to reach out to Lauren or myself or Tracy, and we can if we don't know the answer, Lance does, so we will
Yes.
track him down.
Awesome. All right, if there's no objection, let's reopen the FY 27 budget conversation, because I do want to make sure we address all questions.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize we had moved on, so that's my
Oh,
apology
it's okay.
with
No,
the
no, no.
agenda.
And I will do my best to answer an unassigned fund balance
Yeah.
question that may not be.
It's really more, looking at the unassigned fund balance, it looks like it's gonna be about 63,000 for this budget. And so I'm wondering, because it's 63,000, if there is a way that we can discuss using that money in a different way, allowable by law, rather than giving it as a tax relief. There are other options, and so I'm wondering if as a school board and as an
Yeah.
administrative unit, we can discuss that.
We can, let's bring those in January.
Okay.
Because this way we can get, what the parameters are, because I do not have all of those off the top of my head, which ones.
Do you have a
which
specific-
methods there may be.
Yeah, so, if we'd like to do that, then I think it has to be a warrant. The other two options are to have that money be in like I think they called it a rainy
The
day
contingent,
fund.
the contingency fund, yes, yeah.
Or to move that money to one of our trusts, so the maintenance trust or the special education
Yeah.
trust. That's probably the options that, I would like
Yes.
to look at.
Those are correct, yes.
Going off of some calculations, it looks like, the tax reduction, if we did give it back to the taxpayers, is 5.4 cents per $1,000. So if you have a home that's $500,000, you would get $27 back. If we gave that $63,000 back to the taxpayers, I know that we are all feeling the tax burden and the tax crunch. I just wonder what good we could do by keeping that money in one of our trusts.
Okay, we'll put that on the
Yeah, we
agenda
could
then
definitely
for
discuss that
January.
January.
Thanks.
No problem. Is there anything else?
I guess my only other question that just came up, since Lauren, you're saying you're not quite sure, but given what we are kind of already facing that we've already discussed in terms of overages, especially in special education, do we like if that does not, I know oftentimes by the spring, like it will kind of balance itself out depending on how things look. If it's not balancing itself out and we're still that far over, will that need to be something that the unassigned fund needs to go towards? Does that make sense?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
Potentially, yes. The
So it
money
could
may
even be
need to
that like what we're talking
used.
about here may
Right,
not-
depending
okay.
on what our budget winds up looking like at the end of the year.
Okay.
You know, that will be a question of what's left over.
Okay.
And our special ed trust right now, we didn't contribute to it last year. We're at 200 and I believe 90,000 with that, so that would likely not be a trust that we're going to build on again this year.
Yeah, no, that's
but,
right. I just want-
but the other options are definitely.
I would just want to make sure that, like, given that we are currently looking at some pretty severe overages,
Yes.
if we need, I would rather be upfront about it
Of
and
course.
make sure that we
Yeah.
do build on it if we need to, if we anticipate that we're going to have
Exactly.
to cover
Yep,
those,
absolutely.
because that's a very significant, I mean, you were talking like large numbers.
Yes.
Last meeting,
Very big
so,
numbers, yes.
We'll talk about it in January.
yeah,
then. Let's
but
table that
that's
till
my
January.
concern, so.
Okay, perfect. All right, any other finance?
Just one
Questions?
question. Is that money accessible throughout the year? That's
The-
in those trusts?
The, like the 63,000?
Yeah, if it's in one of those trust accounts?
Like
Well,
this,
so like a special ed trust, if we felt that we had to use that, the board we'd have to have a public hearing and discuss using the trust.
But it wouldn't
But
have
it
to be
could,
like a-
you
like an
don't have to
annual
wait until the end of the year, but we typically would, because a lot of things happen and, you know, can change during the year, so you want to make sure that it's needed to do it as like, it's kind of there as a last resort.
because I think historically there have been times where you've come to us in the fall and
We've-
been like,
we've-
hey,
yeah.
here's the number, and then
We've-
in the
we've
spring
come
you're
close,
like,
right,
it's,
and then,
it's,
yep,
yeah,
and,
it's
you know, 'cause
changed.
it is hard to predict the future in the student services world especially, so,
Right.
yes, definitely.
But yeah, we typically wait till the end of when we're reconciling at the end of the year, it's like, where do we need it?
Yeah.
So, we go from
May,
there.
like April, May, we'll start to kind of have the conversations with the board, explaining, okay, well, this is what things are looking like now, and this is what we're anticipating, and then those decisions are made.
But to answer your question, it does sound like if we needed to pull on it sooner than the end of
Yes,
the
it
year,
is
we had
available the whole
okay.
year, yes,
Yeah, we just have to have a
Public
hearing
hearing.
for it.
correct.
Any other questions before I move on to the next discussion point? Okay, committee updates. We just have we want to hear from the spec this evening, the superintendent's performance evaluation committee.
So that is me. So Allison has asked me to be her designee for this committee, as I mentioned in the governing board meeting last week. So right now we are currently, I have emailed out the link to the Google form evaluation. So if you have not gotten it, if you could just double check and make sure you got it, you don't have to fill it out, but please let me know. Otherwise, I would like to get it to you sooner rather than later. As you have seen in my many bolded emails, it is due December 31st. I do have all of your phone numbers. I will text you individually and harass you the closer we get. It's just very important that we get your feedback because it helps us to kind of figure out. Carol says I have to follow up, so that's why I will text you. But you know, once you are able to do the link, I did mine and it took me about an hour, so I know the long form can sometimes take a little bit longer. So I think depending, I would budget minimum an hour. That's the other thing that I have discovered at doing mine as a test is that when it rolls up to my time response, all of your comments show up in this like tiny print. It's like Zoolander when he's like, we're trying to teach ants how to read, like that's how it appears. And so if you actually could click on the box that says, email me a copy of my responses, it will email you your responses in like a paragraph form. If you just forward me that email, I can actually read your comments and your goals, which would be helpful because if I can't read them, I can't put them on the form. So,
I didn't do that. You can go in through the Google sheet though and read them that way.
all right.
I'll
Allison
show you.
is not following instructions. So
I didn't follow
everyone
instructions.
else please follow instructions. But no, I mean, it's just honestly, you don't have to do that. I'll figure it out. But it does help me to be able to read it. And I do want to make sure that we get all of our information. So yeah, if you could set aside an hour sooner rather than later, and maybe try to knock it out before the holidays, because we all have kids, and I'm sure we all know when our kids come home for winter break, that is a lot of chaos. So that is my update for that. Once I have everyone's replies, I'll get them over. I'll kind of combine them, and then we will have a non-public next month for me to present them to you. Do you know if I send them out? Maybe that's a Carol question. If people get a copy of it before the non-public. Okay, so just plan to maybe give a little bit of time to that because we're gonna have to go through it for the first time for everyone there. So that'll be our our process for that. And then after we come out of non-public, we'll vote on ratifying it, and then I will send it on to Carol, who will roll it up to the spec committee, and we will do that same process in February for the governing board. I have set up meetings already with administrators so I will see all of you in January to get their feedback kind of on the same thing. That does not get rolled into our evaluation, though, just as a heads up. So that will kind of just be in the overall one on February. We would like 2 people to attend those meetings if possible. So given that I'm designating for Allison, I've kind of asked her if she can attend as many as she can. If she can't, then she will.
I'll reach out.
She's assuming responsibility for finding a replacement. So that is the plan. Any questions?
If I go in and make bad comments, will it automatically save, or is there a way to save, or do you have to?
So I believe
keep
you
this in
hit
one sitting?
no. So I believe you hit save, but you can edit anything until you submit it. So I think it saves it
Even after you submit it, you can go back and edit your answers.
Okay, yeah, you can.
Thank you.
Because I just went through and resent it to myself, so I can forward it to Johanna
Thank
and
you,
follow
Allison.
instructions. I will also show you how to go in through the Google form.
Okay, yes. We're all learning tonight. Okay, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at committee-wise. But please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, or to Carol. I will roll up to her if I need to, but that's kind of where we're at.
Are there any questions?
Okay, great. Yes, thank you.
Yep, and thank you to Johanna for taking the lead on this for me. And my schedule is just not possible at the moment to be the point person, so thank you for doing that. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, on to deliberations.
Real quick, I think.
Yes.
Is there anything else that the finance committee is needing for?
I don't think so.
Oh, no, the rest is policy.
Yeah, it's
Are you
policy.
sure you
You
want to
want-
miss that?
I've got a committee.
It's very
fun.
fun. With us in January, right?
Yep, so
Okay.
we're not gonna adjourn, we're gonna take a short break, relocate our meeting out there just for a couple minutes. Sure.
Okay.
We'll finish up there.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
for
you so
joining
much
us.
for
We will
being
see you in
here.
January.
We will see you in
Much
January.
appreciated.
If you
Happy
have-
holidays.
Yes, happy holidays. If you have questions or anything, just reach out.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go into deliberations here. So, I would need a motion to see what action the board will take regarding the Brookline Teacher Association's collective bargaining agreement.
I will so move. Motion. Lynn second.
Can I second?
Yes.
Do we need to actually read this one though, don't we, or no?
I would read this.
This one needs to be
Okay,
read, if
all right,
somebody
well,
can read
All
it.
right, I'll read
into
it.
record.
I make a motion that the board ratify the tentative agreement, this one, between the Brookline School Board and the Brookline Teachers Association, New England NEA/NH.
Will they a second?
Second.
Excellent. All in favor? Excellent. All right, I'll do this next one. I will make a motion that the board ratify the tentative agreement between the Brookline School Board and the Brookline Education Support Staff Association, NEA.-NH.
Second.
Excellent. All in favor? Thank you. You guys good?
Yes, I got it. I'm saying.
Awesome.
Writing, so it's just.
All right, and then,
Policy.
we have to actually go into policy before we do the motion, right? Is this out of order on the agenda?
No, I think we make the motion and then we discuss, right?
That's right.
Discuss the policy.
Yeah.
Someday I will get this right. I will make a motion to approve the recommendations of the Brookline Policy Committee per the memorandum provided within the agenda. Wait a second. All in favor?
Sorry.
That's all 5. Okay. All right. So I will turn this over to policy. Who's taking the
So,
Doc, or-
yeah, so
or
Doc's
Jen?
got her, so, all right, so our policy memo, does it cover those ones that are listed out individually, Dot, or are those separate? Because, all right, so our policy memo is, we've got a couple for, a second read and adopt, so we have one that's a second read and adopt, 2 that are second read with very minor changes, and then, we're presenting, 5 of them for a first read. I know the first read ones we talked about in our policy meeting that we feel they're pretty big ones, so we really want everyone to have a chance to like read through them, offer us some feedback. But I will let Dot start to break down. And Lauren, if you could also talk to the medication one, that would be helpful. Okay.
So we'll start with BGAA, which is here for a second read with no additional changes from our last meeting. So we're looking to accept the second read, waive third, and adopt. This is under the policy development, adoption, and review, and you already do everything that's stated in the memo.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think did that come down as just like a review from the state? I think that was,
Yes.
yeah, so that's why we brought that one back.
Are there any questions? Do you have any questions about this one? Okay.
So the next ones we have administering medicine, correct, and then emergency care. So I'll have Dot and Lauren maybe speak to these a little bit because there were some specific changes that were requested, I believe, by the nursing staff in regards to some of these that I just want to make sure that we are very clear about. So
Yes, and for both of these, JLCD and JLCE, where they are pretty intense policies, we're gonna go for 3 reads, so we're just updating you tonight, and if anybody has changes, then we'll bring it back for a 3rd read in January.
Want me to go a little
Sure.
bit into it? And this is the second read, you said, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So we just added some language. So for JLCD, there are, under these New Hampshire code regulations and the New Hampshire Nurse Practice Act, we wanted to pull a little bit more from the language from those acts to have in here. So you'll see an underlined addition upon delegation. The nurse will document the delegation and the delegation process and leave written instructions, et cetera. We felt that was important enough to have in our policy. When we look at the RSAs, we have to, follow the RSAs, but we could decide how strict we want to be and how much to put in to be, if we wanted to be even more thorough. So we felt that that was relevant enough to put in the policy itself. And I think that was the only change for this policy.
No.
Oh, and I'm sorry, thank you. And we took, again, this is so small, the building, in the paragraph right above the Roman numeral 1, 2, and 3, you'll see at the last sentence, the building, if no such person is available, the building principal or the principal's designee, it's not the principal's designee, it's the nurse's designee, permitted to assist students in taking medication, and taking required medications. So that we felt was important.
and then I did request that we add something just about making sure that we're documenting who's delegating, that they've been trained, that, not that that wasn't happening before,
Right.
but more just like making sure that it's clear so that
Yeah.
if we need to follow like the chain of evidence, basically we have clear documentation on who the nurse designated, why they,
Correct.
and what training they provided.
Which is part of the RSA, so that is
Yeah.
followed completely,
Yeah, I-
but we wanted to make it,
Extra clear.
transparent in
Yes,
the
very
policy,
transparent.
yep.
Yes, and I do want to say I appreciate the nurses offering feedback to Lauren and making sure that they really weighed in on this policy because our nurses are the ones who have to administer it, so I appreciate them taking the time and offering that.
And then the next one, which is double coded as JLCE and EBBC, is the emergency care and first aid. So this goes a little bit, more in depth into what emergency medications and response is. So the part that was added from the last reading is the underlined portion, two-thirds down the page. And this talks about, so there are some times where, there may be some medical needs where an emergency treatment or emergency follow-up is fairly intensive. So we wanted to put language in here to really understand that we're not gonna, that, in all cases, the decision to administer emergency medication must support the nurse's ability to maintain a safe and manageable school environment. The school nurse must be reasonably assured that the administration of such medication will not compromise the overall health and safety needs of the student population. Additionally, the school nurse must feel professionally competent and comfortable administering the specific emergency medication, including having adequate knowledge of the medication, its indications, potential risks, and required follow-up care. If the nurse determines that administering a particular emergency medication would exceed their scope of competence, jeopardize student or staff safety, or impede their ability to effectively supervise the health needs within the school setting, the nurse shall collaborate with the family health care provider and administration to identify an appropriate alternative plan. Okay, so that, we just want to make sure that was clear, and again, dependent on student need.
And so that could be anything from like, let's say, students might need certain medications, or that if the nurse feels unable to kind of support, like then the administration might have an in-school nurse for a student, or kind of, right? Or is that a different?
Or if there's an emergency,
Right,
we
okay.
call 911. I mean, if
Yes,
there's,
that's
again, whatever the appropriate protocol is for
Yes.
any sort of medical need, and we follow up
Yes.
accordingly. So this is just building on the RSA of emergency medication, which is in the paragraph above. The school nurse or designated personnel may administer other medications to students in emergency situations, provided the personnel has all training required by law. We wanted to build on that. And still, again, maintain the safe environment for all students, because if it's in a medication that pulls the nurse, but there's other students who need the nurse in the environment, we want to make sure that that's balanced.
And I will note that this does not apply to EpiPens. Those are covered under a
Correct.
separate. So just want to make
Yep.
sure that like EpiPens are covered under kind of their own policy. That would be considered a different medication. Because as we know, obviously, like with EpiPens, often timing is the most important thing. So
Yes.
that would
Yeah,
be
this
different.
talks about oxygen, this talks
Yeah,
about
like-
EpiPens, you know, and those different pieces, so.
Is this the policy dot where we also talked about like if you like on a field trip like with the or was that in the student
No,
relations?
that's-
That's in a different one. Okay.
That's a different one.
Okay. Any questions about either of these?
Could you just, uh, could you just talk a little bit and say more a little bit about, the nurse's ability to maintain a safe and manageable school environment?
Yep,
They have
so,
to-
so again, like, you know, if there's a student who has a medical condition where, this is hard to, it's hard to,
Yeah, no,
to
I-
clarify, so, meaning, so, so if you look at different medical needs, diabetes, seizure disorders, you know, different pieces that may have emergency treatment as part of a child or an adult's plan, you know, for care. If there is such a need where the emergency medication that would need to be administered is such that it would take, again, a certain level of training, a certain amount of time, a certain amount of monitoring, a certain amount of what have you. And then, let's say another student who has significant or different medical needs, the nurse wouldn't be available because they have to monitor something, they may not be available to the entire school population.
So is that suggesting that the nurse would not administer a life-saving?
It's not about
Medication.
life-saving versus, well, I mean, it's about, again,
Well-
yes, it could be life-saving. Again, every student need is
Sure.
different to a certain extent, but this is what 911 is used for. This is what and this is why it says at the end, if it's not able to be done in the school setting, the administration, along with the family, healthcare providers, and the nurse, will identify an appropriate alternative plan consistent with state laws and district policy. So if it was not a medication that the nurse was either able to or what have you administer, and it's not in the scope of school nursing, that's when an alternative plan such as
I mean,
911,
honestly,
et cetera,
our
is developed as a team.
yeah, our policy I think is that there is any situation like that, we're going to be calling 911. Like so there like it's not we're not going to be relying on only the school nurses to try and mitigate. Like if it gets to that point, it's going to be 911. And what is the nurse doing until paramedics get here? Now we're very fortunate, especially at this school. It literally just up the street. CSD is a little bit further away, but not super far away. And my husband has a scanner in our living room, so I hear every time they get toned. They're very quick to respond. They're very efficient. So I think this is more just like, okay, what are we doing in the meantime while we wait for 911? But also, if we had concerns, we would be talking to 911 and saying, what do you want us to, like, how, I
Correct,
think
and
that's.
we work collaboratively with all the families and with any of the needs that students may have. And again, this is a little bit different than, this is actually kind of like prescribed and set needs versus an emergency where someone falls off
Right,
the
so
playground
this
and
is
breaks their
the-
arm.
But this, sorry, just to
Yeah.
clarify, this is the emergency.
Yeah, this is
policy.
emergency
This
medication.
isn't the maintenance. So, you know, like if a student does have a medical need where
Correct,
they say they
where-
get medicine every day or something like that, that
That's
is a
under the
different-
first policy.
Right, that's a different policy.
Correct.
This is like, if there's an emergency,
Correct.
the nurse may have to put the, like, maintenance
Correct.
dose of
Correct.
for a child, like,
Correct.
if they get it at 12, they may have to get it at 1 or something
Well,
like
so I
that.
think the
But-
point of this policy more so is that, like, let's say there's an emergency and in the student's plan is in order to access emergency meds, the nurse needs to put in an IV. We're not going to have the nurse putting in an IV here. Like, that's not a secure environment. It's not sterile. We would be calling 911. We would be asking the nurse to basically offer care until 911 gets here. But in terms of, like, okay, in order to give this med, it's an emergency med, like, and we're in a crisis and they need very specific care. Because IVs have to be monitored. They have to be, so maybe the nurse hasn't put in an IV in a really long time. And that's really probably the last thing you want is a nurse putting in an IV if that's not something that they're trained to do. Let's say another student comes in with like a head injury and the nurse is not able to assist because they're dealing, that's what we're trying to clarify here. Is that correct, Lauren?
It's all individualized
Right.
based on what the student's
Yeah.
needs are and what exactly that plan of care would be under the scope of all the nursing laws and rules, and as well as what the appropriate response is working as a team.
But to answer your question, no, I don't think our nurses would ever refuse life-saving care. I just don't think that they
No,
would
no,
do
no,
that.
and that's not
If
what it's
that's what you're
about, and that's what I'm saying, like,
I
if there's a
think it's more of
specific.
The way it's written.
Yeah, no, I think it's more of just like a process, right? Like, what would be the process, you know? Like you said, if there are two students who came in that had, you know, real critical medical needs, like how does that get triaged, right? Like who goes first, who goes second, like,
Well, right, and,
yeah,
and
or-
the nurse balances those.
yeah,
pieces,
or where it says that it wouldn't compromise the overall health and safety of the student population. Is that like?
We can edit any of this language.
So I'm just
No,
I'm really
just so you know,
trying to.
like, this was additional language.
Do you have an
So
idea
if
of-
you have any edits, this is why we want to bring this for a third read,
Yeah.
because this is a complex, area. So if you want, we can definitely
Or do you guys feel like
revisit
there's
what it
things
looks
that,
like.
that are not clear in the, I mean, because that, or if you guys have an idea of like, well, this feels like it's kind of, like, let us know, because like, I
Yeah.
think what we're trying to figure out is just like the best way to word it.
Yeah,
I say- oh, go ahead.
sorry. No, to me it was just a little. It was a little confusing. So
Okay.
I can
Sure.
I can sit with it and think about it a little
Yeah.
bit more.
No, definitely.
I guess the question would be like, assured the administration of such medication will not compromise the overall health and safety needs of the student population, right? So like, in what you're saying, right, it's a, like, for example, you use the example of, well, if the nurse had to sit and monitor, then they wouldn't be available to the student population. But I would hate for a student not to get an appropriate emergency treatment.
And they wouldn't, and so.
I understand we would, I'm just saying that's
Yeah.
how it's written.
Absolutely, and
So-
that's why we're
that's-
here, so let's
Right.
change
Well,
the
that's what I'm
language,
saying.
that's fine.
I don't know if I know the right way to write
Okay,
it. I'm saying
so-
that's vague.
Okay,
Did
so.
the nurses give like some feedback as to like a particular situation?
We can't, right, and we can't speak about that here, unfortunately,
oh,
but.
No,
it could
but
be,
Lauren
yeah.
has met with, so in developing these policies, even before she brought them to policy committee, Lauren had met with the nurses and the nurses had offered input on the language. So a lot,
Right.
all
But
of
this,
them-
this can definitely be tweaked.
Yeah.
And if you're saying it's too vague, I can take another stab at it, and we can definitely, and this could go to fourth read. It doesn't have to be,
and that is something
done.
though, Lauren, that you do collaboratively with the nursing staff.
Of course,
Yeah, no,
yes, so
she
yes.
said that. I
Yeah,
heard
okay.
that. I guess what I was just trying to, I don't want any PHI. I just wanted like an example. So obviously there, more than one situation maybe came up, and I was just trying to understand. But I guess yeah, I would agree with the group that it does. It reads odd, a little bit
Yep,
odd.
absolutely, and we could definitely tweak it, and if you have suggestions, you can email those suggestions to
Yeah,
Dot
I
and
mean,
myself as well,
Definitely,
but we'll
yeah.
definitely take another
Please
stab at
email,
it.
because like I think, so in policy committee, when I was discussing this with Dot and with Lauren, the way that it was, because I had similar questions, the way that it was explained to me was that these would be looking at students who are in our school who have medical needs, that these are the possible emergencies that could arise from X needs. These are, and this is what the nurse feels they can handle in regards to that. This is what the nurse doesn't feel that they can handle. And so in order to prepare for that, alternative plans may have already been developed. Like it's obvious, like this is more for like, we know that Johnny has lupus. Johnny needs X number of med, right? Like that's already been kind of like known ahead of time. And so the emergent, that's more, I think, to cover some of that was my understanding. Versus like, the entire kindergarten class runs headlong into a table at a farm. Like that's going to be a different type of, I'm not sure that that's what this policy is intended for. This policy was more, I believe, intended for, and correct me if I'm wrong, like we have student A coming in with no needs. We have student B coming in with no needs. Nurse feels confident handling emergency protocols for student B, but student A has more extensive ones that nurse doesn't feel competent handling. Therefore, we've developed an alternative plan for student A to make sure that their emergency needs can be met promptly without compromising if other students have to come. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
to a certain extent, yes. I mean, and it's a
very
matter,
good.
and again, and it varies, and that's why I think it is broader. But we can definitely make it more specific and have it read less clunky, in order to kind of account for as many situations as possible.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I think I agree. It just kind of reads like it's emergency medication but it sounds like it's maintenance.
It's
Like,
for
not
specific
for
needs.
It'd probably be for, like-
necessarily 911 issues.
No.
It may, it's
not
specific.
like-
It'd probably be
It
more.
may or,
Yes,
it may or may not be.
Yep,
It's so
that's fair.
dependent on
Fair.
what it is.
I think you
So-
could. I think one way that could look at it that might make sense is more like so and so gets migraines. You know how you have rescue med for migraines. I think it's kind of like that. Like a specific student might have a need that has a quote unquote rescue med or an emergency.
Correct.
Protocol.
Protocol for whatever they're.
But that yeah. But
medical
we're not
need is.
talking. And I think our school policy, just in any case, still is going to be to call 911, even in that situation, just to make sure that the student is receiving
Yeah.
the absolute best care. So
Perhaps it could say per each student's protocol.
individualized.
Absolutely, yeah.
That could yeah. Okay. If anything else comes
That's
to you,
if it's already formulated, right? Like if that's
Yeah.
already, unless that's adding some crazy extra stuff
No.
in it.
no, I think any language you guys feel would be helpful. Like if anything comes to you in the shower, just certainly email Dot or like,
In the shower.
hey, listen, that's where some of us do our best thinking.
Stage-
Don't email Dot in the
Daydreaming
shower.
about
No, we
school
could
board
be,
policy
we could,
and
Wait till you get out.
we could be more specific, because the last sentence does say, the nurse shall collaborate with the family healthcare provider and administration to identify, but I can make that clearer for the sentence before it, that these are individualized needs.
Yeah, or even just say that the nurse is like, yeah, maybe put that first, Lauren, to
Yep.
indicate
Yeah,
that
we can
that's
talk about that
that's
and
always
explain
been
it.
done. Okay.
Yep.
Yes,
Because it
great.
does say in all cases versus like in specific, right? You know, so that does kind of cover more serious, mass cas.
Absolutely.
You know, so that, or large, you're saying in this case one, or paragraph one
Yes.
above, it says in all cases. But we're talking more specifically, it seems like, in this
Okay.
discussion,
I hear you with what
Student.
you're talking about, okay.
Yep.
We can definitely clean it up.
So we'll bring it back for a third read, and depending on how people feel about the changes, we can either go for an adopt then, or if
Yeah,
you guys
or
read
we
it.
could do it to a fourth.
Yeah, and you're
No
just
big
like,
deal.
yeah, I still feel like it's a little, then we'll move it to a fourth. But I think that'll be the plan for that. So please read this one before so here's the thing is we're about to get hit with a bunch of stuff we gotta read before meetings. So specifically things like this, if you guys could read them so that Dot knows what like she wants to do like at the meeting in January or when we go through it, you can be like, I really want to push this to a fourth read. We know that. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah, because we're gonna have like 800 things to read. Okay, any other comments or questions on that one? Hearing none. All right, Dot.
The next series are 5 policies you're seeing for the first time. It's going for a first read. When we do first reads, sometimes they're difficult to kind of maneuver through because you see a lot of scratch outs and you see underlines. So once you get a chance to read it, if you read it before tonight and have suggestions, we'll take them. But if not, if you can read them and then email us before the next policy meeting, we can clean them up so that they are easier to read through. And so the second read becomes much more manageable to try to figure out
And I believe-
tiny
yeah.
changes you might wanna make.
I believe this is a brand new, right? This
This is a
came
new
like
policy
in
for
accordance,
us.
yeah, so brand new.
HLB, it's about subpoenas when a staff member is subpoenaed to testify.
Could you just tell us again when the next policy meeting is so that we can,
January, yes, I do. Let me look it up.
Just so
'cause-
that we
No,
can-
I get emails about them, otherwise no. It is, usually they're about the week before our board meetings. But, Emmy is also a good person, so you can definitely email Dot, but Emmy White is usually the one that goes through and like puts things in there, so I would definitely maybe copy her on all of your emails. But
Have the January.
Thursday, January 15th at 10 a.m.
I have that one yet.
I told you had it, yes.
You
You
forwarded
told me you
it
were
to
gonna come
At 10 o'clock.
at 10 a.m. You're on it. I will forward it to you. But yeah, so that is, what day is our,
And this policy is required by law, but we don't currently have it.
what day is our meeting in January? Is it, because the
'Cause you're
15th,
the public.
I thought it was on the 15th, so are we having policy meeting the morning of
check our calendar?
the board
Oh,
meeting?
yeah, I don't know. Oh, public
No, the school board
hearing.
meeting is January
Public hearing is the
28th.
15th.
Is the 15th.
Is the 15th, so policy
Yeah.
meeting is the
Yeah, it's in the
15th,
morning.
so we're meeting this,
Public hearing, though.
But
No,
that's
the public
hearing.
hearing is
Oh.
15th, your school board meeting is the
Yeah,
28th.
school board meeting.
okay, never mind, so ignore what I just said. Public
28th
hearing is
to
the
29th.
15th.
Wednesday, the 28th, January.
I thought, okay, anyway, our policy meeting is on the 15th at 10 a.m.
Get it.
Definitely, yeah, feel free to email. Usually Allison and I are both there, so unfortunately we would love to invite you, but you cannot because then we would have a quorum and that would be not great.
If somebody
But if-
would like to go, I can
Yes.
sit out.
But just let us know. But yes, please try, if you want to email, I would say give Emmy a couple of days, because Emmy does a lot of like reading and underlining and stuff. So maybe if you could shoot to get them in by that Monday, that would be great, like, which I believe is the 12th. Yes, thank you. Okay.
And GDEBB is about employee-student relations. You'll see that we did add quite a lot in here. This was a long discussion.
This was, so, and I'll speak to you briefly, just the subpoena one. The discussion that we had in policy meeting involved very much just around like making sure that employees were like protected in their private lives as much as possible, so not getting served, making sure they had, like if they were getting served, hopefully not at home, or making sure that they had access to district legal counsel if they needed it, or they had questions. That was kind of our discussion, right? Am I remembering that correctly? Yeah, that was kind of the discussion around that one. So certainly if you guys have any thoughts on that, when I asked like when this might come up, it's mostly around like, you know, not necessarily anything that staff has done wrong, but more just like cases that they might get pulled into for.
Yeah, so just to clarify, so it says in the first paragraph, it says collectively subpoenas directed to the district, its officials, employees, or students. So these would be work-related
Correct,
subpoenas,
they're
not
personals.
like personal.
Yeah, so like child custody cases, or like possible, like I had asked Lauren like if this ever was like a special ed, she said not usually special education, but it could be special education, like if they're appealing to sped, yeah. So things like that. I know Dan has gone.
Well, it's a different process. Yeah, it's not often special ed.
Yeah.
But it is work-related.
It is
So
work
it's not
related.
like it's not personal. Somebody couldn't
Getting a
get
divorce or
get
getting-
served
Yes.
here at school
For a
Or
personal
could-
issue, no.
They okay.
No, but if it's an issue that there is them in their role as a teacher, I believe they could be served here.
If it's about them representing their role as a staff member or a teacher, then yes, they
Yes.
get served in school.
Yeah. But I think with the policy that we're in, the procedure that we go under is like, obviously if they get a court, to reach out and let an administrator know, because an administrator can then connect them with, and, you know, Lauren had said that anytime that happens, district officials are available to go with people, to help them, to support them in kind of any way that they need. So I think that's a good policy to have. Any other questions on that one?
So this is just, sorry, I'm just.
No, it's a new one.
Okay, I'll read through it.
Yeah.
But this is just about being served, or just in general, it says prohibited interactions, right?
Oh, that's a different policy.
Okay,
So
sorry,
there-
I won't go.
No, that's
It
the
looks
next
like
one
it's-
that I would guess,
Yeah,
which
I
is
had
this.
moved on, and then they still went back to.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
That's
was,
okay, no,
Sorry,
keep
Dot.
going. I see.
So yeah, so Dot is on employee student relations, which again was is I believe a new one. No,
this
it is not a new one. We are updating.
But we have not looked at this since 2013.
Yes.
So it does, you'll see that there's quite a lot of new language in here to add in, which is all the underlying language. It talks a lot about relationships, travel, not making sure that you have driving students somewhere that you are the only adult in the room.
Yeah, so we did have a robust conversation, I will say, about this in policy meeting, especially concerning, like, if something were to happen on a field trip. Yes, that is number 14, under section A. You know, sometimes, like, for example, when the kindergarten goes on a field trip, they have a child who runs into a table. It's happened 2 years in a row now. And so our process and our procedure is always going to be to call 911, but in a situation like that where 911 is called and the response time was significant due to the location, I believe that the parent of the child was present. They chose to drive. A teacher went with them, but the parent was there. So we just wanted to clarify that if like, let's say a parent's not there, and Dan was following along, like, it would just be 2 staff, like, let's say EMT can't get there for 30 minutes. We need to, like, maybe do something sooner. 2 staff are going to go. Nobody should ever be alone with the child. You notifying the parent, making sure that, so it's just kind of codifying that into language and making sure that we're very clear so that everybody
We
is.
want to make sure that 911 is called before you.
Before
try
you
to
transport,
even
yeah.
an emergency situation.
Yeah.
Because it could be a situation where, even though they're 30 minutes out, it's dangerous
To move.
Move
Yeah.
the child.
move the child.
Yeah, so like a neck injury, you probably wouldn't want to move anyone, right? But given like where like, let's say a child runs into, and they hit, like, right here, there's an artery there, so you might not want to wait 30 minutes. If they've hit an artery, you might need to go sooner, so that kind of thing.
Can I just ask
Yeah.
what qualifies as knowledge and approval? Is a phone call adequate?
So that's probably, is that a procedure question? Like,
Yeah, in that, because in an emergency situation, as long as you have the parent, or if they can send you a text or something.
Any
but
type of communication?
communication.
I didn't know if it had to be written or if a voice communication.
It could be voice in an
Yeah, and I
emergency
think-
situation.
And I think we can
Okay.
also work this into our permission slips too.
Yeah,
It could be, and it could be voice and then after
Follow
hang
it
up,
up.
texting or following up with
Right.
an email, follow up after. I mean, but yes, voice is, again, we're talking about emergency situations.
No,
Those
that's
are
why I
those
want to
would be
make sure that's
100%, yeah.
adequate,
I
because
would
like
say-
I'd
Yes.
hate for,
Yes, no,
kids to-
100%.
I would say we probably should put this into our permission form, because
Mm-hmm.
in the event, we already have that permission, we're gonna call. But in the event we can't get a hold of them,
You still execute.
we have to figure
Right.
something else.
Yep.
Right, you gotta do
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and do the permission slips already include a, like, I believe they include an emergency to treat, right? Like, do they include a permission to treat in an emergency situation,
I
or
have
is?
to- I have to look at the exact
Okay.
language, but
and this is a policy that would need to go into the faculty handbook and be reviewed with the staff on an annual basis.
Yeah, so, yes, so we added, 14 was completely new. So we just, certainly anything around that, please let us know if you guys have, like, updates, because we want to make sure that we're communicating with parents, but also, what if we can't get a hold of a parent? That's why we also have the emergency contacts, so making sure that, like, we're very clear about that. But yeah, Dan, if you could actually look at and Chaz, if you guys could look at your permission slips, I think that could
I'll
be.
try to find an older one.
Okay.
Just one quick, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go first, because
Oh.
you were talking about this, but I do want to ask a question before we move on to the next
Sure.
one.
So it might not, the situation might not be in this policy, like it might not fit in this policy, but, I've noticed, like, there are student bathrooms, right? And, like, adults shouldn't be going in, like.
We got yelled at.
But, like, is that sort of thing, would that sort of thing be covered in this, or am I thinking of a different policy, or is that not really
I think that
need
is-
to be covered, or?
I don't think it would be in
Not
this
in this
policy,
one.
but I
Okay.
do believe there is one.
Okay.
And we
I'll
can
take
hunt
a
for
look.
it, and
No,
we
no.
can see where that.
I
No,
think,
it's
yeah, so,
lies.
no, I think, because to Tracy's point, that was brought up when we were at school, and like, I mistakenly sent Tracy to the wrong, that was on me. But it would be helpful to know, like, yeah, that is a policy, but also where are the adult bathrooms so that we can direct adults, because especially, like, we were at CSDA, and, a lot of community events happen at CSDA, so we think nothing of using the bathrooms at community events, obviously, but that's not during school time, so knowing just like, hey, go here for the adults, or here, that might be a helpful thing to update, just to, make sure we're not interacting
Yeah,
with.
and at the Boys and Girls Club, they have just a little sign outside that says like, this is a student bathroom
Sure.
for during program hours and no adults, and then it'll say like on the other bathroom like, this is an adult bathroom or whatever.
I think it says that. Do these ones say them out here,
Yeah,
Dan?
this
These ones
one
do?
stays
Okay.
Student and staff, but just, yeah, we can look at the labeling of them.
I
It's
don't
definitely
know,
not- It's
just-
definitely, yeah.
Just in case, because like I had no, I just, I had no idea like that there,
Yeah.
we're different
Or
regulations.
even for like
The
volunteers.
sign is a good idea.
The sign is because, like, I know, especially like when I volunteered in the classroom, my daughter's been like, I need to go to the bathroom, and the teachers are like, yeah, you can just take her. But I probably shouldn't be just taking her. So like even like update, because I think it's like that was, it's probably somewhat normal that like, oh, your preschool child needs to like just go down the hallway, right? But I think, yeah, us being more clear that like, actually, like, what are the boundaries? Even if you are an approved volunteer, like, should you or should a staff be like, or you can take them, but you need to wait outside. Like, that's a good point.
No, we'll find that policy.
Okay, awesome. So Heather, you had a question.
Does anyone else have anything about this specific policy
Okay.
though first though?
Does Allison, any thoughts? No. Len, any thoughts on the student relations one? I mean, a lot of them are very common sense that our teachers are already abiding by, like, nobody's dating anybody, which is fantastic. So, yeah, it's great. So we're doing great on that one. But, like, I mean, when you look through it, a lot of it is just, I think the only other change that I'm seeing is, like, the gift one. So, like, I believe that is when staff members are gifting to students, correct? Like that, well, because, like, we're coming in holidays, parents are going to send in gifts for teachers and things like that. So I think, can you just maybe explain, Dot, a little bit on the change on that one?
That's, and I don't know what the.
So it's number
is here.
two
It's
under-
$50 in
Okay.
Mass.
Yeah.
It'll be similar in New
Usually,
York.
you're supposed to go by whatever the going rate is at the, like, I think, not the state house, but it's like, whatever the government
I
rate is.
think it's $50
I think
for
it's $50.
government, yeah.
Yeah, we
And
looked into it a couple of years, it's like, whatever the state government.
So because for therapists, it's like 25.
Yeah.
Okay. Why
But it
don't we
also
get
means
50?
if you do like a class gift, you
Yeah.
can't say, you can do 50 and you can do 50 and you can do 50. It's a
It's
$50
collective, yeah.
limit.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah. Right, so like, if you did, like, the gym teacher, sorry, the PE teacher, the art teacher, it can only equal $50. Is that what you're saying? Oh.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh.
No.
No, I
Oh,
believe
no.
it's
Sorry,
$50 per
collect-
teacher,
Like-
but like for a
Per
class.
teacher.
Like if you got all the parents
like,
together.
Yeah.
If Johanna was to do
Oh.
$50, she could. Tracy
Yeah.
could do $50, she could.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
Individual,
collective.
but if
You
it's a
can't-
collective gift.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
if
don't
you do a
think we can
class-wide, like, so
pool
all of the
that
You
gift.
teachers
can't
pull, then
pull-
you would do.
So you couldn't give them
Yeah.
a $500 gift and
So,
say,
like,
every kid
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
is $50.
So like, I think like in some years, I believe like, they've done a class gift for like
It
a
doesn't-
kindergarten teacher, like here's a rocking chair. Like you would need to keep that within within that $50. You couldn't buy like a $300 rocking chair.
So each person could give $50 to the
Individually.
teacher.
Yeah.
Individually.
We could give them
Individually.
$1,000.
Yeah.
However,
I don't think we can
just can't collect it all together.
Correct.
The total,
Yes.
like if they get like $100, right, from everybody, then yeah, they'll get way more than $50. But you can't assemble.
Collect.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
Okay.
I'll go with it.
All right, so that looks like that is really only the biggest, like the biggest kind of changes that I'm seeing. But I think again, also the standard at the beginning of understanding that staff are going to interact with, develop relationship with students and families, like we're not trying to police that. We're just trying to make sure that everyone is safe in regards to that. Because this is an elementary school that happens, right? Like, everyone gets to know everybody, and we just want to make sure everyone is safe. Okay.
I just had a quick question. So do we have like a similar policy, like, because obviously our mission is to take care of, our students and keep them safe. But I do feel like we do have an obligation to our teachers too, right? So do we have a policy that protects them if like, parents are threatening or if we've got some type of, outside situation, like that how the school would deal with that situation if it arose?
So that's actually a great question. I did actually ask Dot that in the student relations, because when I was looking at the policy of like the part about the bullying between employee and students, and I said, well, what if it's the reverse? It's not. And I think she said it was staff to student is classified as bullying, but student to staff is not.
Right, it's not considered bullying.
It's not
but you
considered,
have
but we have procedures.
other community laws that you could, harassment or.
Right.
So.
And each district has procedures in place, so I don't know that it's a policy, because I don't know that we can make a policy. But I believe, and Dan and Chaz can certainly speak to this, I believe there are procedures in place Dan's like, please don't ask me to speak.
Sorry,
Please don't
Just
laugh.
asking, if one of your
I'm just laughing
teachers
about the
came
gift
to
thing
you-
because
Oh,
one of the things I came up with was avoid getting bugs because teachers, that's the number one gift. The bugs.
So don't get anyone mugs. Yeah.
That's gonna take me a
Unless you put $50 in it.
56
Probably
now,
right.
it's 56 because it's $106.
Yeah.
I guess I hear what
That's
you're saying with
true.
the student. I guess
Because-
what I'm more concerned about is if one of your teachers came to you and said, I have a parent that's harassing me.
Yeah, we have
Do you
other
have
advocates.
Procedures
We have
for that. We have
procedures.
procedures for that. It wouldn't be a policy.
And
Okay.
they can always go to the police, we can do a no trespass order, there's other ways that you can handle that.
Yeah, that was one of my questions too, because I do believe like it's important to recognize that while, the employees are in the position of power of the students, like, let's be real, humans are humans, and sometimes that's gonna get reversed, and we don't want anyone to feel unsafe at school, adults included. And so, no, I definitely did have the same question, and yeah, I was informed that that's not a thing legally. But we can make sure that we are taking, and the principals were very clear that they take those things very seriously if staff bring them up, or, if parents are, staff are reporting that they are feeling uncomfortable, I believe that that's taken very seriously, so that everybody is.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, change of class.
JCA, this is, there's quite a lot of change in here. Some of it is just updating language, some of it is substantive change. And so we do want the superintendent and Lauren to both review this before our next policy meeting, to make sure that it meets all of the needs that we have.
Does this have to do, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna, I will read it, but it says change in class or school assignment. Does this have anything to do with like open enrollment coming, or no?
This is,
No.
no,
Okay.
that's gonna be a separate, this
Okay,
is
gotcha.
in the best interest, so if there was a reason that a parent or, wanted to change a child from Hollis to Brookline, or Brookline to Hollis, they can, submit a request to the superintendent. But the best why, and you have to prove why it's in the best interest to make that move.
Okay. So only this is only within the SAU?
No.
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a very lengthy policy.
Okay.
Yes, but you have best interest and manifest hardship, there's different criteria for those. It does not only have to be within the SAU as a request.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on this one? I mean, I believe this is one that we're updating, I mean, but we adopted it as recently as 2024. It was, so I mean, I don't believe that there are too many
This had
huge
new
updates
changes
from the
recently.
state. Yeah, I believe it came down. It's like being changed due to law and all that. So yeah, this one's pretty dense, so definitely this one will come for a second, probably third. So if, yeah, I want to take a look at this one, that would be great. And then, AEDs.
ABBCA, the use and location of defibrillators. This is a new policy for us, also caused by changes in the law. And we are currently meeting.
Yes, we are all good on that. So I think we just updated some language, but I don't believe we actually need to update anything in what
Okay, because there's no, yeah, on this one, there's no like underlining or
Yeah,
anything.
there's no, because it's new,
Oh.
so we're not changing anything
Okay, I
in a
get you.
current policy.
Okay.
Yep. All right, and
And
then our
then
last
lastly,
one.
JICK, this is some changes that were made to the bullying law. A lot of it is just rearranging language and where it is, but there are some substantive changes that we also want to have Lauren and perhaps our attorney review before it comes back to.
Yeah, so there's a lot of crossouts in this one. So definitely take a look at this one if you can, because like there's like a good middle chunk of it that's completely crossed out. But I believe it's just been condensed more.
It's actually been expanded more, so.
All right, it's been expanded. Ignore
So
me.
the language that's crossed out is still there, it's just in a different format. But it may also impact some procedural changes, so that's why we want to make sure that the attorneys review it.
Yeah, and again, this is more of a like, we're updating the wording to be compliant with, this was updated in 2023, so again, not super long in between updates. My question mostly was like policy-wise, we do have policies and procedures in place that are already doing all of this. This is more about updating our policy so that we're up to date and in compliance. But from what I understand from the SAU, like, and the principals, that procedures are in place that are already meeting all of these goals. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're not necessarily needing to change any procedure, we're more just updating the language. And this goes in the student handbook, I believe, this copy right now. Okay.
And everything that's underlined is
Going-
new
Yes.
language or updated language from the state. That's
Correct.
not,
Yes.
and that's not from policy committee? Okay.
Yes, one thing that we did want to add that I will point out, because I do think this is a positive, is a good faith conduct clause, so immunity and liability, towards very last thing, letter K. I believe this was new, right? The good faith, was that new or was that in there?
It's expanded, it
It's,
was, yeah.
okay. So basically just saying like, kind of like the Good Samaritan law that like, you're gonna, people who are operating in good faith are going to be immune just in terms of that, to make sure that people don't feel like they're hamstrung, and being able to protect
And being
students
able to help, yeah.
And being able to help, yeah. All right, any questions off the top of your heads? Definitely take a look at this one because it's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of these lengthy, sorry, they're.
But no questions off the top of our heads that are sticking out there? Nope, okay, I wanted to make sure I gave you time to like read it because you were reading very attentively, so. Okay, that's it. So we just actually have to vote on one.
Yes.
Still all of that.
We're only
We have
looking
one.
at a motion to accept the second reading for BGAA, waive third reading, and adopt.
Oh, I'll motion that, so moved.
I'll second.
Excellent. All in favor? Great.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right.
Do you have non-public?
We do not have a non-public tonight, so who wants to do the honors?
We will have one next time, though.
That's not what I was asking. Who wants to do the
I will
honors?
make a motion to end this meeting today.
To adjourn?
Adjourned.
Can I have a second?
I will second it.
Excellent. All in favor? Fabulous. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yay, happy
Thank you,
holidays.
everybody, for
Thank
everything we
you.
do.
Holidays.
Enjoy the break.